Hey everybody, welcome to newprophotographer.com. I'm Kevin, and in this video I want to talk about 5 things that I learned from my first pro wedding photography shoot. This was my first pro shoot, and a lot of things everybody said to do were exactly the right things to do. Preparation, the first thing, preparation is key. Know your location, know your subjects, your clients, know what they expect, make a shot list. These things are just normal and they're absolutely required. In this situation, it was a little bit last minute and it was a traveling gig, it was family. I didn't get to interview the couple before I went to shoot, so I didn't know what their expectations were. I didn't have a location. We got in the night before, and I had to scout out a location, and I used an Android app called Sun Surveyor to find a few locations where the sun would be in favorable, where we'd have good lighting conditions for a shot. Now, this is it was the worst possible time of day. We were doing the actual photo shoot at 12 noon, and it was a bright, cloudless day. So it was a tough shoot. We used the shade from the trees and whatnot. So the first thing I learned from my first pro photography shoot for a wedding is preparation is key. The second thing I learned is tripod, tripod, tripod. When by the time it got to the end of the day, my arms were pretty tired. And I was carrying this 5D Mark III with a 70 to 200 2.8 on it. I had a Black Rapid strap, but I was pretty tired. So when I was shooting using my normal speeds that I shoot at, and I was braced to shoot, I was getting some blurry shots because my arms were tired, my hands were shaking. It was about 31 degrees Celsius and the humidity was off the chart. So I was drenched in sweat. Had I had a tripod, I would have had a much higher hit ratio. So I got some good shots. I got enough good shots. The clients were pleased, and that's what counts. But there were some shots that I took and I had in my mind that I didn't end up getting because they ended up being blurry. If I would have had a tripod, I wouldn't have had any blurry shots. I might have had some shots where I blew focus, where I composed poorly, that didn't turn out the way that I wanted to, all the normal stuff, but none of them would have been blurry. On the day, you can't afford blurry shots. So, tripod, bring one with you. A lot of people use a monopod. It doesn't always work for the big photo shoot. Great for the actual ceremony when you're moving around a little bit, but not when you're doing the photo shoot at the end. Another thing I learned was that the 5D Mark III and, well, really all full frame cameras have a much more shallow depth of field than a crop sensor. Now, of course, I was already aware of this. This is one of the benefits of going full frame over crop sensor like I've been shooting before. The problem is that I'm so practiced on a crop sensor that when the pressure was on, I defaulted to the information I had from that. So I was shooting couples facing each other, which are they're almost on the same plane, but not quite. And I was shooting them at an aperture of 4.5, and one of them would be razor sharp, and the other one would be just slightly out of focus, because this thing has a crazy shallow depth of field. So, what's the lesson out of this? Practice, 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 practice. Know your gear. If you're going to be shooting a pro shoot, go knowing your gear to the point that it's instinctual. So I have been working with this thing a lot to get the right apertures in my mind. Right now, if I think there's going to be a problem, I just go one higher than the one that I'm thinking is right. I think it's better to go have a little bit too much in focus than to have something that you need to be in focus not be in focus. The last thing I really learned, the last fundamental thing that I'm going to include in this list, is that yes, you really do need a pro camera to go do a pro wedding shoot. There's always debates. People always talk about, can you shoot a wedding with a Rebel, with a T3i, T4i, T2i? Sure. You can. You're going to miss a lot of shots. See, even with the T4i, the brand new one, which is a nice camera, you can't change all your settings with your eye in the viewfinder. You can't change everything quickly. So I've got the 5D Mark III, and it is customized so that I never have to take my eye out of the viewfinder to change anything. My focus point, my ISO, my aperture, my shutter speed, everything can be done very quickly. And I can switch from one-shot focus mode to servo mode without taking my hands off of the camera. It allows me to grab shots as they happen. So on the day of my wedding, we were shooting outside on a deck, and it was tight quarters. The light was very, very harsh, and there was a line of shadow just behind the groom. And he would step into it from time, and he would step out of it. And I had to change my settings instantly. I didn't have time to chimp and take a shot and see how it was going to be. I had to be able to change my shutter speed, my aperture, my ISO immediately. And you know what? I don't think that's a unique situation. I think that where I was shooting was unique. But I think when you're in the moment and things are changing around you, you really don't have time to be going through a menu or selecting an AF point or whatever it is you have to do. So for me, the debate's over. I know lots of people will continue to hope that they can do pro level wedding photography with a Canon Rebel, and you're going to get some great shots. You really are. But you're not going to get all the same great shots everybody with a 5D Mark III or some other pro camera will be able to get. So the debate's over for me. Okay, so that's the 5 things that I learned on my first pro wedding photography shoot. What did you learn when you first shot pro? What are you thinking about? What questions do you have? Let's chat. Thanks. I'm Kevin. This is newprophotographer.com. Take care. I don't remember what the other thing I learned was.